Red Sox fans have long been hearing the Boston Red Sox are world champions. This is going to be a tough play. It's over.
Woo! Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet. This is Triple Shot Sports. I'm your host, Brandon Combs, joined as always by the Soup Boss, and today he is looking rather spectacular in some ugly Texas Longhorn gear. Get it out there. Soup, your mic's off. What are you, a rookie?
Damn it! I'm used to you muting me all the time. I've had to listen to Sooner Radio all damn day. I absolutely love the franchise, by the way, down here. My home away from home to WEI. It's been Sooner this and Sooner that all day long. I walked in my house and this crap fell on me just because my home was like, you need to be hugged. I'm tired of this. By the way, I just want to let you guys know, I wrote to EA and got myself into the new Madden. I'm an 82, just so you know, just because I ran around the field a couple times.
Dude, that is freaking insane. How the hell does Colin Kaepernick get an 82 rating? When he left the NFL, he, like I said, he should have gotten maybe 4 points higher than Trubisky. He should be like a 74 at best.
He wasn't good. If they had made the statement that we're putting him in, like you could get players from certain years when you build the My Team and everything. They said Colin Kaepernick in his Super Bowl year, argue away. I think that he probably could have been higher. He had a fantastic year. People forget. But he left a garbage quarterback, this league, and he hasn't played for years. Yeah. And you're telling me he's higher than what is it? Like there's like 14 NFL quarterbacks. It's garbage. Straight garbage.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. But hey, it's just the way the world is right now. We have to sometimes just bite our tongue and accept it.
Till Mr. Combs becomes president.
And do not put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. That is not.
I'm going to carry the voice of the fans now. Combs for president.
Hell no. Combs does not want that. But at any rate, we got a great show lined up for you guys. We are going to get into some MLB talk. We're going to have Bjorn on with our best trios. And we're going to have a list of greatest all-time trios. I think my list is going to top both of your guys' list. Actually, as I looked at it, I think we all might have the same list. But still, at any rate, we are going to have a great show. But
I don't even want to talk about lists until we get to the list. I'm still fuming from that bull crap. Number one, historical moment in sport. You couldn't even make a moment. At least, by the way, I made Dave Roberts just a moment. I didn't say the whole damn season.
108 years was the moment.
Let me
108 years.
What three damn players on the Cubs that year do you have as your best trio? What how many of them? God,
it was the pitching staff. It was Johnny Moe. It was Kyle Hendricks. And
look, you're looking down at your sheet. You're reading off the sheet. I swear to God.
All right.
If you have three players on that team. God.
I promise you, I do not have any Cubs on my list of trios. Not one. And I thought about Tinkers, Evers, and Chance. I thought about it. But it didn't make
one Chicago trio on that sheet.
But anyway, we got starting it off, we've got Sully from Infinity Sports. He is going to be joining us to talk about hockey. So let's welcome him in here. Sully, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, what's going down, boys? How we doing?
Oh,
well,
hey man, we are living life.
Not as good as you as a Lightning fan there.
You know what I mean? It's nice when you're the greatest team in the league. You know what I mean? It's nice.
The greatest team in the league. How did that work for you last year when you guys walked in the playoffs saying the same damn thing?
I mean, we were there, right? You got to get to the dance, right? I mean, you got to get there. It doesn't matter how many times.
We have got
true.
bitter Boston Bruins fan alongside a Tampa Bay Lightning fan who is riding the high right now. Look, I got to eat some
bitter. They got their asses kicked and they deserved it.
Yeah. Sully, when we first started doing our little, our power rankings for the RTF Sports Network, I came out with mine, you came out with yours. You had Tampa Bay at number 1, and this was heading into the second round. And I had the Yankees at the time over the Tampa Bay Rays. And man, you scorched me. You're like, oh, how can Tampa Bay? They're 8-2 versus the Yankees. at the time, to my defense, the Yankees were up by a game and a half, and I said, on paper they've got an infinite better lineup, they've got infinite better pitching, and boy was I fucking wrong. I was never so wrong about a sports take in my entire life. Dude, the
can't blame yourself.
The Yankees have fallen so far since we had that discussion.
But you can't blame yourself there, Combs, because even Sully, you got to admit, man, and I had, just so you know, Tampa Bay, when we did our predictions, like, you don't understand how good this damn team is.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be the top wild card team. They're fantastic. I had the Yankees winning it, but I said it was going to be over Tampa Bay by 2 or 3 games. And now, obviously, it's different. But if I even told you, Sully, as a huge Rays fan, hey, they're going to face 11 injuries going halfway through this season. Yeah. Do you think they got a chance? I think even you would be like, God, that's going to be hard. That's really going to be hard. It's amazing how they're just player after player. Next up. Yeah. Kudos to them in that organization. I love it.
Yeah, it's a testament to what we do. We've been kind of known as a team that develops a great farm system. And
hold up. What's this we thing? Who are you in development? Are you one of these we fans?
I'm a part of this.
Are you one of these we fans?
I was there at 98, the first game they ever played. Wow. We've had season tickets every season. I'm there for at least 30 games every year, bro. I'm we at this point.
Look, I'm with Sully. When I talk about the Cubs or the Blackhawks,
it's annoying crap. It's terrible. You guys drive me nuts. And this fan base behind me says it more than anyone. Pisses me off. Me off. Anyways, go ahead, buddy.
The team has been known as a team that develops a great farm system, that is able to find guys that just really kind of fit how they want to play their style, and just fit into multiple positions at that. So we've got a lot of guys lined up. Of course, nobody expected this. We tend to start hot, but nobody expected something like this, and especially with the injuries. At the time, we were 8-2 in the last 10, and we had just swept the Yankees. So that was more my point. But yeah, even I couldn't predict that the Yankees would go 5-16 over the next.
Insane.
And where I thought you were even more wrong, because I really thought Boston was going to go in and throttle Tampa Bay. Like, Boston, to me, probably more so before the bubble, was the team to beat in the Eastern Conference in the NHL. They were they were the team. They were playing the best hockey. They were the best team in hockey, in my opinion, at the time, before COVID shut everything down. And then they had a little lackluster in the round robin, and then came through in the first round and looked really good again. Looked like that Boston team that we had seen before COVID hit. And then, man, your Tampa Bay Lightning just made them look silly. They all 6 games, even the games that they lost, Boston looked silly.
No, Boston won. Hold on, let me defend before we go give Mr. Tampa Bay here.
By all means.
Game 1 and 2/3 of the way through game 2, Boston played very well. And even in the game where they ended it, you got to remember, Boston put up over 50 shots on that net. It wasn't them getting made look silly. It was one hell of a goalie performance on that other side. Yeah. He was stopping stuff. You could cut a hole in the side of the net and somehow get the rules to change and try to sneak it through on the side. He would have found a way to stop it. Like, absolutely fantastic job by that goalie. Amazing job.
Yeah, Vasilevsky's a stud. He's a true stud. We let go of Ben Bishop at his prime, because we had Vasilevsky in the wings. So he's a true stud. The one thing about game 1, I think that was actually a cheap win. You guys had 2 power play goals. We were coming on strong at the end. I actually was kind of inspired by that loss, to be fair. But I agree. I didn't really expect the to handle Boston, kind of not as easily, but I didn't think it was going to be as smooth as it was. But we're clicking. We're moving on all cylinders, and when we click, I think we're the best team in hockey, and we're incredibly tough to beat. We're fast, we're strong, we play defense, we got a great goalie.
And then game 1 of the Eastern Conference, dude, 8-2. It was.
The Islanders are not supposed to be there. They were playing peak hockey, ran into a Flyers team that just was playing as terrible as they could play. And so, those games were great, but the Islanders are not a team that's going to be able to hang with the Lightning at all.
Yeah, I said it on our show on Sunday. I said that the Islanders remind me of that team who is like the NCAA tournament when you get that 12 seed that makes it to the Final Four and then just gets blown out in the Final Four.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah, by the 1 seed.
Yeah. And that's where they're at.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, the Islanders are really the thing that scares me for Tampa Bay heading into the Stanley Cup Finals is I think that they're going to handle the Islanders in 4 or 5. And I think that the Dallas and Knights series is going to go 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So that cooling down period, I always like a team that goes 6 or 7 versus a team that wins in 4, especially in that first game of the series. And I feel like if you drop especially to a team like the Knights, maybe even more so than Dallas, if you drop the first game to the Knights, you find yourself with your back against the wall in game 2, because I don't think that you can come back from a 2-0 deficit on a team like that. What do you think about that?
I mean, to be fair, it just happened. We just finished with Boston pretty quickly, and then the Islanders and Flyers went for an extended series, and we came out on fire. Now, granted, Vegas and Dallas are not the same team as the Islanders are, but in these shortened playoffs, because every game's now just back-to-back, there's no travel time and things like that, I think that cuts down. I do agree with you. In a regular season, I want my guys to play, but in this, it's shortened down. Plus, I mean, there's reports now that Stammer is not being ruled out for the entire finals. We're going to kind of give hope that Stamkos can come back. And, I mean, any more time for that is great, because if he comes back, I mean, and he's playing even at 80%, I mean, that makes our team so much more dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like hockey's like that. I mean, the basketball, they had one of the Eastern Conference Finals is in like game 3, and the Western Conference Finals just started.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
It's still a weird aspect to me that I don't get, because even in the NHL is following it the way they normally do in the playoffs. The NBA normally does that too. I don't understand the concept of having these overlapping rounds between some of these teams. I mean, I guess it's just due to a schedule aspect, but I mean, hockey has a larger amount of time they need cleared between games on their courts.
Yeah.
Hockey, I think it's 72 minutes, if I remember correctly. And, it's why when we saw that 5 overtime game, the Bruins game got pushed to the next day. The NBA doesn't have that issue, and yet they're doing these weird overlapping. I don't get it. I think that's going to mess up one of these final 8 teams that we got going in the NBA. I think it is.
Yeah. So the Western Conference, let's get to the Western Conference here. You got Dallas and Vegas. Dallas jumped on Vegas in the first game, and Dallas kind of seems to me like that team, almost, I don't want to say team of destiny, but it almost seems like that's what they are this year. Yeah. Do you think that the Dallas Knights can pull this off? Or the Dallas Knights, yeah. The
Dallas Knights.
See, look, that's who I'm putting my money on, the Dallas Knights, because one of them's going to win.
No, I don't. I mean, again, we talk about our rankings, and I'll eat crow. I had the Dallas as the 8th seed in my rankings. You know what I mean? I had them as the last team in the rankings, and I mean, they're just proving me wrong. They were 28th out of 31 in the league in goals, and now they're coming out. Now, granted, last night it was 1-0, but the series before that, they were scoring 4 and 5 every game on Colorado like it was nothing. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't see anything like that. Tyler Seguin's playing out of his mind. They've got a really, really, really good defensive core. Elsa Lindell is a name that not a lot of people know because he's a defensive defenseman. He just stops your best guy, plain and simple, and he's good at it. John Klingberg's a stud. Mario Heiskanen, I can't remember pronounce his last name, is another young stud. They're just playing great, great hockey. But Vegas is so good. They're so
Wayne chiming in for you there. And then he also puts in Sully's
it's because of my
greater than Brandon.
he said that it's looking good because he saw the orange shirt. That's what it was. It was the hook'em. That's what it was.
Michael Paris chimes in. Knights are taking the cut. Wow. And then he says, scary how good Tampa is without Stamkos. So that's to the point you were just saying, man.
Yeah.
If they get Stamkos back, how much more scary are they? And then how do you make the same statement that the Knights are taking the cut, Michael?
We don't know if he's coming. It's likely he's not. They're just kind of leaving the door open. I wouldn't expect him back in the series. I really wouldn't.
As a Blackhawks guy myself, I've seen a lot of Robin Leonard. He was our backup over here with Corey Crawford. I was the one on the side of letting Corey go and keeping Robin Leonard because I thought the kid was a stud. But I don't feel like him going up against Tampa Bay is a good matchup for the Knights. They're just too, and I said this the other day, and Supas disagreed with me. I think that they're too fast paced. And he said, well, they weren't that fast paced when it came to the series against the Bruins. But I thought that the Bruins just did I think the Bruins do a great job of making you play their style hockey.
No,
which slows the game down. I think. Do you agree with me? You watch a lot of Tampa Bay. You guys are a fast-paced, generated scoring team. Right?
But let me back up my point. Let me back up my point here, Your Honor. My point was that Tampa Bay was far less concerned with speed as much as they were about being strategic in what they did. There was a reason why they would come with two quick pass triangle shape coming through and getting it over. They knew where Halak was going to be weak, being this guy coming in. And even with him trying to get up to speed, and even when he made some fantastic saves, the reason he made fantastic saves is they were very strategic on the point where they had to attack that net against him. They're smarter. They don't have to be fast. That's why if they were faster, they wouldn't have gotten outshot by over 20 shots in that last game against the Bruins. They're just very strategic and very smart. It's not speed, it's pace, it's strategy, and it's movement of the puck.
Michael says scoring 4 to 5 on a backup, though. You know,
doesn't matter.
I don't care who you're scoring 4 or 5.
It doesn't matter.
Michael's a Canadian fan, so that might tell you something. He's a Canadiens fan. So.
I mean, they were 29th out of 31 teams in scoring. Like they were, and then they're out here scoring 4 to 5 a game. That's impressive. But the Lightning are fast. I mean, we're probably the fastest team in the league. We move the puck from end to end as quickly as any other team. Now, granted, I agree. We're also very smart. We're also very strategic. That's why I think we're the best team in the league. We have a combination of all these things. But I mean, I do think we're going to put a hurting on on either team that comes out of the West. I think we're as good defensively, and I think we're better offensively than both teams. And our goalie's the best goalie left, plain and simple.
I love when he starts making the attacks. He goes back to the we remarks.
We're always we're here. We are here. We are the Lightning. We are the Thunder, baby.
We are the North. We are Tampa Bay. I've gone to so many Tampa Bay games for $5 on the third baseline with my kids. It's been beautiful. There was no we out there except for everyone in a Sox hat.
If you were on the third baseline, I was there. I was the prick screaming over you. Those are where my season tickets are. They're on the third baseline. So
you were the prick yelling at Pujols when he was being nice and signing the ball for a kid because
I would never do that.
That probably was you. I'm glad you clarified that.
So RTF Sports Network chimes in and says the Lightning had 34 shots on Monday and they were all on net. I mean, that just goes to show how dangerous they are.
I mean, the Islanders may get a game, but they don't. They really don't. They shouldn't be on the same ice right now. The Lightning are just good. I mean, plain and simple, they're just a great team right now. When they play like they are, they're really tough to beat.
Bjorn's comment is what I was going to bring in. I don't think you actually, even if Stamkos can get back in, it's that aspect of you trying to change a team's chemistry and when things are going good just to fit someone back in the mold. You can actually hurt
you're not
that.
Just fitting someone, though. You're fitting one of the top 5 players.
I don't care. I don't. If you're straight up dominating, role,
though. He'd come on. I agree with you. Honestly, I don't think you touch your first 1-2 lines with what they're doing. Braden Point and Kucherov are playing great hockey right now. Yanni Gourde is playing out of his fucking gourd right now. I mean, so I agree. You don't really mess with that. But if he's healthy, series is tight 2-2 in the finals. You throw Stamkos out there and you see what you can get from him.
Yeah, exactly. But if they're up 3-1 and they lost one game, luckily 2-1, it's no problem.
Wayne says, I heard Bork is coming back and rated an 88 in the NHL.
That's too damn low. That's bull crap.
That is too low for Red Bork, honestly.
That's horse dog.
That's a great one.
It better be a 9 on that.
All right, so Sully, you got the Tampa Bay Lightning, no matter who they play, winning the Stanley Cup.
I do. I don't see any, like I said, I don't really see anybody out of the West making – I don't think Vegas is playing – at their top tier, and they would have to play at the top of their top tier to hang with us, and they're just not at right now.
Leonard's going to have to
and there's no way Dallas can hang with us.
Well,
for sure. He's going to have to stand on his head. Pacioretty's going to have to play out of his mind. I mean, it's going to be a great series. They're the 2 number 1 seeds, so it'll be a great series. I think we'll take it in 5 or 6. If we play the Stars, we'll take it in 4 or 5.
Hey, man, it's gonna be a fun one to watch. Thanks for joining us. You want to tell these guys where they can catch you guys?
Yeah, make sure you check us out every Monday and Wednesday on Facebook on Infinity Sports, 7 p.m. Check us out. We got me and Wayne G every week, Monday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. Get it.
Hey,
real
Wayne
quick,
comments
Sully.
and says that the show's looking better now that you're on. But I've noticed over the last week or so, your show's been looking a whole lot better too. So I don't know what's going on over there, but
You just gotta dig any way you can, can't you, bro? What's up, Chad?
Hey, is there a cat litter box behind you to go
There
along
is.
with that nice little cat tree?
Yeah, there's the cat right there on the top. You
Yeah,
see
I'm
her
gonna
hanging out? There she is.
are you that guy who lives alone with a cat as a pet?
No, man, I actually have a husky, and these are my girlfriend's cats.
The girlfriend's cats.
I
Once
know.
they're the girlfriend's cats.
Yeah.
That thing is in there while you're recording a sports podcast. That is your cat.
I know,
That is
right?
yours.
Well, if I touch this cat, you will hear the devil come out, bro.
Oh, man. All right,
Good
Thanks
stuff,
for being on, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
no problem.
Thanks,
We'll
Sully.
do this again, probably right before the finals.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Take care.
Later. Yeah, hey, man. Look, it's always fun talking hockey, especially when you're talking hockey with somebody who knows the game like Sully does. Sully's a through and through hockey guy. He really studies the game, and man, does he love his Tampa Bay Lightning. So it's always fun to have a conversation like that. We were talking. I was talking with some of the guys from the RTF Sports Network, and we're talking about like different ways and different shows that we want to do. Things and different things that would sell. And one of the things that I brought up is there's a reason why ESPN and Fox Sports, you don't see them, on their talk shows talking a whole lot of hockey. And it's just because not a whole lot of people understand the game of hockey. So a lot of people don't like to listen to it. But if you have a show just dedicated to hockey, which I think Sully would do an excellent job at, I think that you could get a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's also just the aspect. I know just because the major people don't like it, but living down here, there's a ton of soccer fans. Someone really knows the sport, you're going to get those people committed to it. I'm a huge Formula One fan. I spent an hour at work today, absolutely an hour I did not need to waste, talking with a couple of my friends in there that are big F1 about the craziness of this past week's race. I mean, poker, whatever it is. You get people that are good, they're going to be good.
Yeah. Reeves wants to know where the F you've been. I don't know what that even means. I mean, we're on all the time.
I'm on all the time, baby.
Maybe because you weren't in a meeting with us today, but you were at work.
Maybe because the meeting was when people are working and when people are like, it should be tomorrow, and you guys randomly an hour and a half before a time go, oh, it should be tonight. Let's do it. Need a damn secretary to keep up with you guys. Jeez.
And then the guy who said, let's do it tonight didn't show up to the meeting either.
Exactly. Where the hell have I been? Not wasting my time like you. How do you like that one?
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to get into our list. So we had one of our viewers, a good friend of mine, Bjorn Bruckshaw, who came up with a question last week during Shop Talk about who is the best trio of all time, since he has a lot of conversation about best duos. So that kind of sparked a conversation, and we invited him on the show, and he accepted. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back from our break, we are going to bring him on. And we are all going to go through a list of our top 5 trios of sports all time. Not just one sport, all sports all time.
And top
we'll
5.
Be right back.
I did 11, man. This is going to suck. Crap.
We'll be right back.
Time to take a stand, boy. You've been overlooked. I don't think you understand, boy. Souls overboard. I done played in front of grand, boy. Kill the shit, and still I end up leaving empty-handed, boy. Waiting patiently, now y'all gon' sit and wait your fucking turn. Rise up on these ashes like a fucking nerd. Yup, I earn the shit, and you try taking it from me, and you gon' fucking learn the hard way to charge. And Cosetti ain't the one to burn. Like I want to move, if I can undo, I can't undo it. I wanna come through, I didn't choose it, but it's here, no fear.
All right, we are back. That is our guy Mises with the song Rise Up. That's one of those ones, man. Every time that thing comes on the playlist, I have to turn the volume up in the truck. That's a good one.
You're that dad bod guy over in his broken down Chevy, rocking out like crazy. The Leonard
No,
Skinner.
I've got a 2011 Ram 1500. I don't do Chevys, but
okay, so 10-year-old truck, nonetheless.
Yeah. Hey, look. I mean, I'm broke. Like I live in Chicago. If I had a new one, the damn thing would get broken into anyway. So, all right. So we had talked before we went to break. We are going to bring on Bjorn Bruckshaw. We are going to talk about our top 5 trios of all time. So without further ado, we bring in Bjorn. Bjorn, how's it going, bud?
What's going on, fellas? How are we?
Oh, so many guests today. This is crazy. I'm waiting for Oscar the Grouch to pop out of some trash can somewhere.
I could go get him right now. He's outside if you want.
Oh. I was waiting. That was a softball pitch to you, Bjorn. You were like, you already got Oscar. He's right there in front of the Chicago's Cubs.
Hey, you don't know this guy a softball pitch. He's about to knock it out the park, man. This is one of the best softball players I've ever met.
Shoot.
I just don't tell him that in person because then his head gets all big. And
you did it on something that's live and recorded that he can go back on YouTube, by the way, and he can pull it up at any time and record it.
It's on replay.
It's on replay now.
When can he go on YouTube and listen to us again, Soup Boss?
You could go on right now. Actually, you can go on Triple Shot Sports Podcast and watch us live. You can comment. You can hit subscribe, so we're not giving away more free stuff from Mr. Combs. You can go on any time and hit subscribe.
Yeah, right down below.
You can do it live. And then once YouTube gets done with trying to make sure we're not trying to rip off Mises, then they post it. Then you could go and watch it anytime and go on and record Mr. Combs telling you why he thinks you're the greatest softball player that's ever been around.
Hey, that's how we do it.
You can also record the worst damn number 1 on a list ever in the history of all sports with our last podcast.
You haven't heard this number one yet. This one might be worse. I don't know.
I swear to God, if you lie to me and there are 3 Chicago Cubs on this list, number 1, I'm leaving this show. Bjorn, you're about to become a co-host like that.
I'm going to leave with you, man. I'm going to leave with you.
All right. So you had said last week, Bjorn, that you had a debate about duos on Facebook. And I see you, especially on Sports Soup, you're on the Facebook page all the time, posting and bringing conversation to it. And so I had seen some of your duos, and so you brought up an interesting question with the trios. So that got me thinking, wow, there's been some really good trios that you could think about. And Supaz even said before we went to break that he came up with 11. I came up with 5. So, but yeah, so let's go and why don't we go ahead and let you lead off? Who's your 5th best trio of all time?
So it's so hard because each sport is different. Athletically, football players to basketball. So I have an asterisk from my number 5 team, and it's the
Astros.
It's 1980 Miracle on Ice team from there were 21, 22 playing in the top hockey people in the world, the Russians, So I have a little asterisk, even though they're not trio. That's somebody I throw in there.
Okay. So. All right. So he's got the 1980 Miracle on Ice team. Dude, I kind of feel like we just had Wayne G on the show. Kind of way. I don't know, Soup Boss.
Sorry.
Listen, I don't give 2 craps what this guy says. Anything you can make 6 asterisks on a 5 list, and it still will be better than the freaking number 1 he had on our list the last show.
Bjorn, were you listening to my number 1 last week?
No, I tend not to.
He tends not to listen to you.
Well, look, so we did our top 5 sports moments of all time, and for me, I had number 1. I had the Cubs winning the World Series.
Yeah, that's wrong.
So, how many other times has the team had to wait 108 years between championships?
Well, look at the Red Sox. Even though it was 108 years, look at the way they did it. They were down 3 games.
The Cubs did. No, not in the World Series. They weren't.
Oh, not World Series, but they still came back in that momentum.
The Cubs came back in the World Series and had to deal with the Rain delay in Game 7.
It doesn't matter. It still doesn't matter because I gave you a guy standing in front of Hitler against racial injustice. Stood against a tyrant.
All right.
Of his own country with Jesse Owens. But the Cubs win the World Series is way better.
Way better.
Idiot.
Way better. All right. So at number 5, you dink, I have Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy. I think that they are the fifth best trio of all time. Just looking at the numbers, in the time that they played together, Johnson had averaged 19.7 points a game, 12.2 assists, 6.9 rebounds a game. Kareem was averaging 18.8 points. Worthy was averaging 17.9 points. You know, the rebound. I mean, these guys were an absolute phenomenal trio. Probably a top 3 trio in basketball all time, just basketball alone. So I have them at number 5. What about you, Subas?
You know, I've got to give my honorable mentions. I'm not going to go through the list, but there's 2 sets I want to give honorable because they're college. And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, college, we don't get to see the greatness because of the less amount of time together and everything. But 2 groups. One, Jakeem Noah, Al Horford, and Corey Brewer with that Florida Gators team was a team that no one understood what the heck was going on. And they just, from beginning to end, in all those championships that they had down there in Florida, they dominated. They were smart. They were very good at what they did. And then to me, still one of the greatest, if not the greatest college football team ever, the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. They had Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, and Frank Gore. That was their running back set. That's insane. I'm not even talking about their tight end group and everything like that with the Jeremy Shockey and the other guys. But that was a group of 3 as a running back. But my fifth is a pitching trio. And I know there's some other pitching trios historically that maybe statistically wise was more dominant. But for me, when I went and watched highlights and stuff like that, there's just something about this trio that they should have had more World Series. And that's Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and John Smoltz. Yeah. You just did not dominate in a way that they did 1 through 3. And what shocks me is that they didn't win more than 1 World Series. It's just the fact that normally you just need 3 good starters to win. You need an ace, a guy that's a near ace, and then a guy that at least just go out there and just ball it out. These were 3 aces on any other team that would go out there. And the fact that they didn't win 3-4 World Series blows my mind to this day. So that's my number 5.
I have them at number 6 on mine. So I was close with them.
Hey, who did Maddux come from, Combs? Do you know?
You know, it's funny. So he came from the Cubs, and the worst part was that's how bad Cubs ownership was in the 80s and 90s. Was that Maddux had actually had his first Cy Young was with the Cubs, and he won the Cy Young award. And the Cubs ownership, the Wrigley Company, said, "Hey, you know what? We think that was a fluke. We're going to let you go to the Braves."
Yeah, the Wrigley Company traded him for a pack of gum.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was bad.
That's why I put in the World Series, the greatest moment of all time. All right, so Bjorn, who do you got at number 4?
So my number 4, I'm going to actually go over to soccer, and it was with Messi, Neymar, and Luis Suarez.
My 6.
When they played for Barcelona. That team was just untouchable. Never mind having 1 or 2 of those players on the team. You had 3 of those guys that could score at any time on that team. That team was just unstoppable. That's my number 4.
That's a good one. At number 4, I also had a team that was pretty much unstoppable in the 90s. They were pretty much the Patriots of the 90s, and that's Aikman, Irvin, and Smith. These guys won 3 Super Bowls, 93, 94, 96. I mean, these guys, and I do. So if you listen to me talk about football, I always put like a little thing on Emmitt Smith and how I don't have him in my top even 3 of running backs all time because of the line that he ran behind. And I don't that team was unbelievable. But those 3 guys in particular were the keys to that team. Aikman under center, Michael Irvin catching passes every which way that he could. Most people say he ran sideline routes because they chalked him with coke and he just wanted to get a sniff on his way through. But and then Emmitt Smith was just running through holes that were built for Mack trucks.
Well, you say that with Emmitt Smith, by and large, I don't disagree with you in that aspect. But the day I watched that man with a dislocated shoulder, and not just like it kind of hurt, like literally holding up his shoulder, and he was still busting into defenders and stiff arming them and attempting to run like. That showed a toughness in Emmitt Smith that made me literally just go, okay, I don't care how big or small the holes are. You don't do that and not be considered one hell of a running back. So I don't disagree with you in the top 3. There was far more dynamic running backs, but he needs to be in your list of greatest running backs of all time. Yeah,
he's top 5 for me. I just got 3 guys ahead of him. Actually, I got 4 guys ahead of him. He's 5th. Okay. But yeah, he's there for me. It's Barry Sanders, and then Jim Brown, and then Walter Payton, and then Jesus Christ, why can't I think of his name now? At any rate, he's fifth for me. And then who do you got at number 4?
No, I can't make your list for you here, Combs. You got to come up with it. But my number 4 is going to definitely throw a shock, especially for you, Mr. Combs. And I bet you're going to try to be pissed off about it. But every time I wanted to go higher, the 3 above it, I just had reasons I think were better. But if this trio had stayed together just one more year, I mean, it might have been probably the greatest of all time. But that's Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. Only having the 3 years together, I think, is what really hurts it. If they had stuck just one more year and won another title. And a lot of people don't like to even consider it a trio. They always go Jordan and Scotty, and some people will put Grant or they'll put Kerr or Kukoc. And it's like you do not just go watch anything, a documentary on Dennis Rodman that will, of course, show the craziness of his life, but just how dynamic and how hardcore he was on the court. I put it this way. I heard someone say it. How important Rodman was to that trio. When he was gone in Vegas during the finals, you had Michael Jordan flying to Las Vegas like it was the movie The Hangover, looking for that man around tigers and everything else. Like even Jordan, the GOAT, knew if we don't have Rodman, we don't do this. And to me, I wish they'd gone one more year. But at the same time, I don't think it harpens from their greatness, even at number 4.
For not even just one more year. I wish for everything, if I could undo one sports moment ever in the history, I wouldn't even go with it with any of the Cubs moments that would have changed, their ways there. I would go with Jordan retiring and going to baseball. Man, would I have loved to see what he would have had if he had those 2 years back in between the 2 3-peats. Because I believe with every fiber of my being that they would have won 8 straight championships with Michael Jordan.
They would have beaten the Rockets, and it would have silenced all the LeBron GOAT conversations for sure. But I think there's a part of me when I've made that statement too. It's that relationship he had with his dad. Like, how much do we as dads, if my kids say they're going to do something in order to show an honor to me, I mean, maybe I go, hey, listen, you're leaving behind the world, but it's what's in here that matters. So, but I agree with you 100%. They would have won 8 in a row. It would have been ridiculous.
Yeah. So we'll go with number 3, and I'll just give you the spoiler now. You took my number 3 with your number 4. So, I have Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. And as I was looking this up, I saw some lists that had, Jordan, Pippen, Kukoc in their list, and not even Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. And I was just like, to me, that's insane. Like, it's got to be Jordan, Pippen, Rodman over.
It's got to.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Bjorn, who you got at number 3?
This might blow you guys away. I had Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish.
Yeah, baby. Woo! So green.
I mean, what? 3 championships. I mean, McHale wasn't really a big factor in the first one, but man, when he played, man, that guy could ball along with next to Larry Bird. They wiped LA all the time with them. They were always the top team. You got to look at it. So that's my number 3.
I got him in my top. I got him in my top 10. So I love it when I don't have one of my beloved teams in there, but Mr. Combs puts him in. It makes me happy. Like when he picks Brady to win the Super Bowl this year, I'm like, I have no problem with it. I can be wrong. You can be right. So you can be right about that, Bjorn. I have no problem with it.
All right.
My number 3 is the only trio I put above Jordan, Pippen, and Robin. And again, if we saw them stay in one more year, it may have changed. But this trio just does not get the credit it deserves because they just didn't care about their egos because they didn't have any. That was Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. Year in, year out, dominated. Duncan has 5 rings, but the first one with Robinson on his way out the door and everything. But when these 3 got together, I mean, people still to this day don't even know how to pronounce Manu Ginobili's name. Yeah, like you show his Spurs jersey with his name, they don't know how to say it. Like it's insane to me. They were on another level. They understood the aspect of what Stockton and Malone did with the pick and roll, but with another dynamic added in. They were one of the first teams that learned how to come up the middle and cut out for that 3. They were the ones that really kind of invented that aspect. And they were truly the trio that if Duncan somehow had an off game, Tony would pick up. If Tony had an off game, Manu would pick it up. They never had a game where all three of them just weren't there. In fact, I think I remember one time there was a game like that, and I remember the announcers just going, is the world about to end? We don't understand what's going on. They were if one of them had a shred of ego, everyone would know more about them. And to me, they're the greatest NBA trio. Just to give you a little sneak peek of my top two is not NBA. That's it. I think that's the greatest NBA trio ever. Even with the greats before them, I think there was no one better than those three.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. They are a great. They didn't make it into my top 5. I had them at 7. But yeah, they were definitely a great trio. Bjorn, who's your number 2?
So my number 2 is Wayne Gretzky, Jerry Curry, and Mark Messier.
Yeah.
That team, I mean, they're dominant. Just like every team that I've picked, they've dominated through. And just Wayne Gretzky, man. That's all I got to say. Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. You know who Wayne Gretzky is, Mr. Combs? That's the GOAT of hockey, by the way, if you need a reminder from my meltdown.
Gordie Howe is the greatest of all time.
You're so full of crap. You're so full of it. You know you're doing that just to get me riled up.
No, hey.
You admitted to me after off air. While we're recording, you said, man, I was looking it up before the show. And I was like, holy cow, this is – I'm just going to pick this. That's what you did.
So number 2, I also had – but I had a different third, Bjorn. We have the same idea. So even though I didn't say he's the greatest of all time, I have Gordie Howe there at the greatest of all time. But I had Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and Paul Coffey. So you had Gretzky as the greatest offensive player of all time. Messier is the greatest captain of all time. And Paul Coffey is arguably one of the best defensemen of all time. The 5 Stanley Cups between 84 and 90, that team was unbelievable. And those 3 leading it were just unstoppable. So that's who I had in my number 2. Pretty close to yours. We just had a different trio out of those teams. And really, you could put anybody in as a third next to Messier and Gretzky, and it would have been all right.
And that's why, and just so you know, I don't have either one of those 2 groups that you just had in my top 10. Not to say they weren't just dominant, but we did this list, I was literally looking at who were the 3 staples where they had some support, but there wasn't an interchangeable third. When you started getting 4th and 5th, like Murderers Row, I don't have them on here because that was a 5. People grouping, and some people go, the 3 through 5, the 1 through 3. To me, what are the 3, and then people that are around him support.
Mark Dowling chimes in and says, "Cheers, guys! Love drinking margaritas while watching."
What are you drinking, Cole?
He was laughing at me because I was drinking margaritas last week. That's my girlfriend's brother. So
I hope he's just shitting on you.
He gets on there. Reeves says I was driving and videoing during the meeting, so I think he's saying Supawash, you have no excuse for not being there. Michael Paris says Supawash probably doesn't remember me from when I was a kid. Huh.
Oh man, I'm an old guy, man. Like, did I coach you in a little league? All right, did you know me when I was a kid too, or when you knew me as Yogi? Like, I lived in over 50 houses growing up and went to 13 schools and have moved all around since. I hate it. People walk up to me. I'll go back to New England and people go, "Oh my God, Chad." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Who the hell are you? I don't know. We went to school. Like, you changed schools and came back. I'm like, okay, my question still remains. Who are you? I don't remember.
Got babysat by Arlene Tubby Mead.
Oh my God. That's my great Aunt Tubby. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Damn. All right, I do remember you, Michael. Wow. Jeez.
Oh man.
Getting old. Those are kids in you. You shouldn't be old enough to have kids. Man, I'm getting too damn old.
All right, Soup. So who you got at number 2?
Okay, my number 2 was ones that in my brain I'd always had them, and yet if you had me make this list without doing research, I would put them in my top 10, but they would have been closer down the bottom of my top 10. And I know a lot about this team, but today, of course, when I took my bathroom breaks at work and I do my deep research, a la Odell Beckham Jr., I just couldn't. I realized I thought they were only responsible for 3 titles. They were responsible for 4 titles, with a couple years gaps in between, and just the dominance of them all the way across. Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, and Lynn Swann. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, I already appreciated them. And when people rag on Terry Bradshaw, I love absolutely coming to the guy's defense. But I even went in further than I even realized today. I was like, holy crap. This was the Brady and Patriots of their time. They truly were. Four Super Bowls in 6 years, 7 years, dominant even in the years that they didn't win. They went far. I mean, just insanity the more I looked at it. And I was like, a team in that era winning 4 Super Bowls with those 3 staying attached to each other, you just can't beat that. So that's my number 2.
All right. Hey, that's a good number 2. That steel curtain, man, was unreal.
Yep.
So yeah, hey, that's not a bad number 2. All right, so Bjorn, you started this whole conversation and you started all this, and I'm wondering if all 3 of us have the same number 1, because I thought number 1 was kind of a no-brainer. So I guess we'll find out. And Bjorn, you can go ahead and go first. Who you got at number 1?
Well, so I kind of have an honorable mention first to give out there, which I'm surprised.
I love honorable mentions.
My honorable mention is Montana, Rice, and Roger Craig. Look what Montana, one of, if not tied for the best quarterback in the league. You got Jerry Rice, and you got Roger Craig. I understand there's Troy Aikman, and then you got Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith. But I think Joe Montana was better than Troy Aikman. I think Jerry Rice. Yeah. I could be wrong, but that's just my honorable mention.
No, you're right. Yeah, no. I mean, I definitely, when you go quarterback alone, you got, Jerry Rice was better than Irvin as a receiver. Quarterback, you got Montana was better than Aikman. I think Emmitt Smith, though,
Absolutely
is probably, probably. But, yeah, no. So, yeah, that's a good honorable mention. So, who's your number 1?
The Dream Team, if that counts.
Hey, whatever you want counts.
The U.S. Olympic team when they.
What do you think this is? Your suggestion, Bjorn?
So, I mean, you had Larry Bird, Michael Jordan. You had, I think it was Magic Johnson that was on it too.
Yeah.
But these guys, and they just steamrolled through the Olympics. They couldn't be touched. And to play with all those guys together is just that's my number 1 pick.
Okay. My favorite story about them was when MJ and Magic had they didn't even have practice. I can't remember who was coaching, and he said they would literally take the ball, they would be captains, and they'd pick their team, and then they would beat the living crap out of each other the whole practice, with one of the captains being pissed and the other one gloating, and they'd all walk off the court, and I would just go, that was good practice, guys. Like, I can't remember who it was, but he's like, I didn't ever teach them anything. He's like, I don't deserve this gold. He's like, I don't deserve the gold. He's like, I got a gold because I showed up. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, how would you coach a team like that? Could you coach a team like that?
By letting them do what they did. Yeah. Go, guys. Because if he blew a whistle and said, no, we're not doing that, his ass would have been in so much trouble. By saying, cool, guys, you do what you got to do. Though, in the back of his head, the only thing he was probably worried about was injuries, with how hard they said. There's people that said that in some of those practices, because that was the elite competition actually against one another, they played harder than they did in the actual games there. But I couldn't actually do the Dream Team just because of what I talked about earlier. I mean, you could go ahead, interchange 3 people constantly, rotate them all out. To me, if you want to get into a list of the best teams of all time, that's the Dream Team. That's why they were called that for a reason. But I couldn't do that. My 3, this is why I had a feeling it wasn't going to be the same. My 3 are the 3 R's. And Bjorn, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about with the 3 R's there. And if you know soccer, just saying these 3 names
the Brazilians
are just insane. Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho. The fact that those 3 beautiful gifts from God grace the same field together with the same jersey. You don't even need to like soccer to watch them when they played together and just go, what? Is this real life? Yeah. Like, what is happening? You're literally talking about if you found a way to take the 3 GOATs of any sport and put them on the same field and play the same sport together. It was insane. It was Dream Team in reality, because it wasn't an aspect for the Olympics. They played on a team together. Just insane that 3 of the mecha stars of that sport at one time played together. with the same jersey on. So
Absolutely.
to me, I just think you can't top that worldwide.
They were playing for Brazil at that time, I believe.
They were.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, hey, look, both of those are great number 3. For me, once I started looking at all of this, and I'm a baseball guy, so I started looking at all the sports, and I started looking at what the trios were doing and the dominance that they had. Like Bjorn said, all of his were dominant and this and that. Dude, I still ended up with Murderers Row, the 27 Yankees, the 9 years that stretch of Ruth Gehrig and Tony Lazzeri. What they did in that 9-year stretch was unbelievable. In those 9 years, they had 4,716 hits between the three of them, 857 doubles, 854 home runs, 3,522 RBIs. They hit 330, and that's just the three of them, and they slugged 607. Ruth hit over half of his 714 career home runs. He had 399 in that 9-year stretch. Drove in over half of his lifetime RBIs in that stretch. I think he had, if I remember it correctly, 7 of those 9 seasons, he had 40 home runs or more. Gehrig did that 4 times, and back then that was just unheard of. 40 home runs was not. So
that's before they were drinking the juice.
Well, don't forget the pitchers had no days rest either. They pitched over and over again.
Yeah, and what those guys did, though, in that 9-year stretch effectively ended the dead ball era. I mean, they effectively changed the course of baseball because of how dominant that they were. And so for me, absolutely number 1 was the Murderers Row of Ruth Gehrig and Tony Lazzeri. And I didn't even think that it was really that close when I started looking at all of them combined. So
yeah, I couldn't, just because Murderers Row is not just those 3. It's considered that 1 through 5. So to me, if you want to put together your best batting lineup ever in baseball, that's easily it.
What those 3 did combined, just their numbers alone, like 4,716 hits between 3 guys, 3,522 RBIs. That's in 9 years. That's 1,000 RBIs apiece.
I know, but like I said earlier, it's 3 guys.
Yeah.
Or 3 athletes. I shouldn't say guys, because there's great female trios too, but three athletes that were the quintessential all of that team with just some support players around them.
That entire
and 1 through 2 were still just absolutely insane. Hall of Fame All-Stars too.
Well, look at the 60 Yankees. You got Mantle, Vera, and Roger Maris.
Yeah,
hey,
that was that to me was a trio.
Bjorn had the entire 1980 Olympic hockey team.
I put that asterisk.
He said asterisk. He literally said asterisk. He didn't make him number 1 on his list. No, he did put the Dream Team. He did put Dream Team. I tried to save you there, Bjorn, and then my brain was like Dream Team.
Right. Can I switch mine now? Can I switch it?
That's why he gave the honorable mention. What he really meant was Steve Young, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. And that's why he meant it.
I'm dyslexic a little bit.
I got it. Hey, Bjorn, man, it was fun. I appreciate you coming on. It was a great topic. Definitely, hey, man, keep chiming in, keep doing this. Share us, let people know, what you think of the show and how good Subboss is. I know you won't tell them that I'm doing good, so tell them how good Subboss is. Yeah,
well, try this challenge now. Try and figure out who the best trio is in today's sports. Look at the Dodgers with Betts and
oh man.
Kershaw and what's his name?
Bellinger. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But hey,
Walker, Brown, and Tatum, baby, let's go.
I know. Sweep tomorrow, baby. Get it.
Kane, Taves, and Sharp. I just wanted to get to. Did you see Subboss' eyes start burning?
It's we had to end it. We have to end segments like the big steaming crap that OBJ likes having.
Oh my
dumped
God!
on
You
his
like
chest.
that post? I can't believe somebody wrote about that.
Gross.
Did you watch the video?
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I think it's bull crap, obviously, in my opinion, but it's so hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. And all the comments. Well, he's a big pile of number 2 now.
Yeah. Unreal. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll have you back again, I'm sure.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, Bjorn.
See you later, buddy.
Man, oh man, that was a good segment. I liked the little debate that we had there. Top 5s. All right, so we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will go ahead and get into some baseball talk. We got a whole lot going on in baseball. We're in the last month of the season, and there is a lot to talk about. We kind of chimed in before the show started. We talked a little bit with Sully, and then even during our segment with Sully, we chimed in about the Yankees and how fast they're falling. But we'll be back here. Give us about 90 seconds. We'll be right back.
She left me for dead, all 'cause you was scared you would lose a little bread. Guess what, now you did, told me go to hell. So if the love lost between us, started nowhere. 'Cause I love who I am, 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 and I ain't changing it for name. This ain't about no ego. This one here for me though. Sometimes you gotta put your needs beneath of other people. But how come that's so hard for me? It's like I got no heart for me. Stuff to pay, suffocate. Damn, I swear I'm hardly breathing. Tired of being number two to everybody else that are taking a toll on my mental health. Why am I so loyal to these songs who left me on the shelf? Why do I care what these people think when they don't think of me? Tell them that I got no pot to piss and they just piss on me. See? Class and session partner, cause we history. I did the math, our partners leaves a fit for me. 20% when I do 80 of the work. Plus waiting till daily since the day of my birth. I don't know what you're smoking, let me make it simple for you. Easy as a layup, pay up, pay up, pay up, pay up. And please don't think I'm joking, let me paint the picture for you. You gon' take a pay, straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up.
All right, so we are back. That was a little bit of Mises with I Love Me. And so, look.
I love me, too.
Hey.
Alex loves me, though.
Hey, I got love for you, Soup Boss.
Yeah, when you want to get me going and riled up and you need to give yourself a laugh, that's about it.
Hey, it's a lot of fun, and I know how to twist a little bit, so that's all that matters.
You know how to get a Boston guy pissed off. That's all. I'm wearing Longhorn stuff just because guys on the radio that don't know me just talk Sooners all day, and I was like, "For God, I got to wear that."
To piss Boston fans off, I also know how to make them happy. And let's talk about the Yankees right now.
Yeah, baby. Let's talk about. How about them Yankees?
They are spiraling out of control.
It's bad. It is. Listen, when I told you that the reason they weren't going to the World Series and you were so shocked was because of their injury issues, and I said they were going to win the AL East, but only by like 2 games over Tampa Bay because how good they were. Even I, in that aspect, if you told me, hey, Chad, with a month to go, they're going to be, what is it, 5.5 games? 6.5, and they're third in the division. This is insane. There's injuries, but then there are injuries in which you have zero ability to come back. Screw you, JJ, your Boomer Sooner. You live up in New England. You have nothing to do. You have no ties to Oklahoma, USOB, just because you have friends that live down here. When you live down here, you could say it. Boomer Sooner. Stupidest, by the way, Boomer Sooner. Sooner just means a bunch of people ran in the middle of the night so they could get land sooner. And I'm supposed to be scared of that crap? The dumbest names in all of sports, Sooner. Lakers is the next one. The power of the lakes. Sorry, tangent. That's what you get for putting that on there. No, but, I mean, if you had told me that they were going to have injuries and with a month to go, I would have been like, yeah, I expect that. I told you that. I expect Judge. I expect Sanchez. I expect people to get hurt. I've been watching this team. They can't stay healthy. But if you said, yeah, they're going to also be 6.5 games out of the division, I would have been like, yeah, you're full of crap. I'll put money against it. That's going to happen.
Right.
There's no way. Like if I would have put more money for the Yankees not being 6.5 down than you telling me that the Red Sox were going to be the absolute potentially worst team in baseball. Like
yeah.
I don't even know what to say. Like when you analyze it, have you been looking into it?
Playoffs.
What's that?
They're only 2 games away from being out of the playoffs, and they're losing right now in the 7th to Toronto 2-1.
Yeah, and Toronto's going to keep separating themselves. By the way, those blue Toronto jerseys.
Oh my God!
Oh,
fire.
they are sharp. But of course, you're going to obviously. So you have the 2 from each division, and then it's 2 wild cards. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, with this weird thing. Obviously, one of the 3 AL Central teams is going to be the first one. Those 3 teams are just killing it right now. Indians and White Sox are tied with the Twins a half game behind.
Right.
But then what? You've got the Yankees at 21-20. The Tigers are 18-21. The Mariners are 19-22.
And don't sleep on the Mariners, man, because they're sneaky good.
And the Orioles are 19-21.
They took 3 out of 4 from the Yankees this weekend.
Insane. The fact that that's it, I will absolutely be so happy with being so wrong about this team and giggle with the amount of joy necessary if they miss the playoffs. Now, let me clarify this. Even though I'm a Sox fan, I'm a sports fan. When people talk about how baseball almost died and they talk about McGuire and Sosa bringing it back, I'm sorry, they didn't bring it back. They brought explosion, that ratings aspect. What brought it back with the New York Yankees winning that late 90s stretch. The New York Yankees are so pivotal in a global scale to ensuring the success of Major League Baseball. But, man, I'd love to see them just fall flat on their ass just this year and really just have to recoup. They'll be back next year. They'll be just fine.
And the biggest thing for them, it's not even just the injuries, but the guys who are healthy just aren't performing.
They're not.
They went out their big pitching acquisition was Garrett Cole.
Did you see that? Did you see the post I put up about him, about his stats this year?
Yeah.
Horrible.
It's gross.
Now, would I put him on the Red Sox rotation happily with those stats? Damn right I would.
He hates that staff, though, isn't he? Yeah. Look, the Yankees, not only have been dealing with injuries, but like I said, the guys who are actually in the game, they're just not performing. They're not deep. Their starting lineup is great on paper, but they don't have the depth. They don't have the guys that come in and fill in and take up, for the 2 or 3 weeks that they may be missing a guy due to injury. And man, they're just hurting. And if they keep playing this last 3 weeks of baseball the way that they're playing right now, I'm telling you, teams like the Seattle Mariners are going to catch them. Yeah. And it's not going to be pretty in New York. It's just not. They do not accept as much losing as they do with all of their other teams, with the Giants, with the Jets, with the Knicks, with the even Rangers. They do not accept that with the Yankees.
When the New York Islanders may end up being the team that gets them to the furthest in any postseason in 2020 or 2021, that's saying something. Let the Red Sox be the worst team in the league, and I won't care. Like I will just be pumped that the people in New York are just miserable piece of pus bags with their disdain. But like I said, it'd be fun to watch it for a season. But they've got to figure this out. If what you said is 100% accurate, if they can sit here and be good, not be good, be bad with the guys that are healthy, they've got to figure something out. You can't just go out and just buy all the time. And in fact, I'm shocked that since 2003 or 2004, when even though they had to hit that Aaron Boone home run off the Red Sox, but then the Red Sox, since that time, the Red Sox have been their rivals and have been far more dominant in that stretch. And the Yankees still continue year in and year out. Not that the Sox aren't spending top 3, top 5 in the league, but they still outspend them. At some point, you got to look at this and go, okay, hold up. All right, why can't Aaron Judge stay healthy? Why can't Sanchez stay healthy? What are our problems here? Do we need a better strength and conditioning coach? Because a 5-foot or a 6'1" guy weighing 185 pounds of muscle is not the same, doesn't need the same strength and conditioning coach that Aaron Judge needs. He needs a completely different guy. And you need to figure this out with the players that aren't doing well when they are healthy. Because if this was a 162 game season, what are we looking at right now? Are we looking at just an absolute fall off, do you think? come game 100?
I think they're hitting a rough patch. If this is a 162 game season, I think if it was a 162 game season, I think I'd be less worried about them.
Yeah,
because in a 162 game season, you can have a bad month and survive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I was talking about earlier this year.
Game stretch, you can't have a bad month. You just can't. I mean, you find yourself maybe out of the playoffs. Jonathan Briggs chimes in and says, opinion on the Garrett Cole slump right now. Do you feel like something could be something's obviously wrong with him?
Something's wrong.
Whether it's health-wise, I'm not sure. I mean, he could be trying to pitch hurt and pitch through some things because of all the injuries that they've had.
All up here.
Or maybe he's just not equipped to deal with New York pressure.
I don't know if it's
a different animal to pitch for the New York Yankees than it is to pitch for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
It is, but he was pumped and ready. He really was, and his mentality was he could go and do it. And you're right. That doesn't mean just because you mentally say you can. But I do think the way the guy held himself that he was able to do it. But there's now an aspect where the ship is sinking, and he feels the need to have to be the guy to pull it out. And when you do that, those pitches you would pinpoint right at the corner, they're going to bounce in the ground. That off-speed pitch, because you threw a nasty fastball right before it that you could get them off and swinging, that thing is hanging in the middle of the plate because he's releasing it too early. He's trying too hard. If there's not an injury, I just truly think he's trying too hard because he feels like he has to fix this right now. And what it needs to be is, to your point, that players that are healthy have to do something. I mean, listen, I defend JBJ up and down, Jackie Bradley Jr., but all their players are hitting worse than Jackie Bradley Jr. does 99 up. But they don't play defense like he does to stop these runs. So bad pitching, bad fielding, bad hitting right now. And by the time you get a healthy squad, is it too little too late? It might be.
So, let me ask you a question. If I asked you right now, without looking it up, out of all the players in baseball, who leads baseball in OPS right now? All the hitters you could think of. I mean, you got Mookie Betts out there. You got Fernando Tatis. Trout. Who's the highest in OPS?
Mike Trout?
Nope.
I'm wondering why you asked me this question.
I'll give you one more. One more guess.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Nope. Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs has a 1-0.
We just took a complete turn here. We're going Yankees to Ian Happ on the Cubs.
Well, I saw the stat earlier, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, as I'm saying that, I'm watching the Cubs game, and freaking Chris Bryant just took a fastball to the tip of the elbow. Oh,
right,
but at any rate, it's the elbow. But Happ, like, he's a guy, and I've said this for the last 3 years. I'm not an Ian Happ guy. I thought that the Cubs should have let him go a couple of years ago. He's not. He's still horrid defensively. Don't get me wrong. He is an absolutely atrocious outfielder.
I was going to say, go look up his defensive stats.
Yeah,
see if he's on the top of it in the wrong way.
This guy is lighting it up, and he could potentially win MVP if he keeps playing this last month the way he's playing now. He's hitting better than Betts. He's hitting better than Trout. He's hitting better than Bellinger. He's hitting better than all these guys. And I was blown away when I saw that, because I knew he was playing well this year. I knew he was hitting well. I just didn't think it was as well as the stats are showing.
I mean, could he win MVP if he keeps hitting this way? I think he gets in the discussion. But you said it. You need a player. If you're off a little bit on hitting from him, but you're going out there like a Mookie Betts and you're playing stellar defense, it's going to be really hard for the writers to look at the overall of a player and only give it to him based on the hitting alone.
Usually it is an offensive category, the MVP. Defense usually just goes to the Gold Glove. A lot of times, like when Chris Bryant won the MVP in 2016, he had a great offensive year, but he's a subpar third baseman.
Yeah,
he's not a very good baseman.
But he didn't play too bad third baseman that year.
It
wasn't as bad as what Ian Happ is playing defensively. Like, Ian Happ's defense is horrid, man. It's horrid. You know,
Bjorn chimes back in. Can the Padres be a World Series? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
The Padres are an 8 seed, let's say they're the 8 seed heading. Well, no, they wouldn't be the 8 seed. They're going to be second in that division.
Yeah, they're going to be second in the division.
So say they go in as the 5 seed or whatever.
Right now they'd be the 4 seed.
In a 3-game series right now, I would say that anybody is a contender. Anybody can beat anybody in a 3-game series. I think
so
the Dodgers.
If they were right today at a 4 seed, they'd be playing the 4 versus 5, right? In an 8-team series, they would be playing the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, and they'd walk
the Philadelphia Phillies. They I don't even care with how, and people haven't talked about, they're hot. The Phillies are hot. Yep. And yet I wouldn't even come close to putting a dime on the Phillies. The Padres would annihilate them.
And then you go to a 5-game series after that, man. I got to tell you, if they're the lowest seed heading into the second round and they're playing the Dodgers in the second round, I could see them winning a 5-game series versus the Dodgers. I absolutely could. They're a young, scrappy team. They're hungry. They're ready to win. The Dodgers, I don't think right now, the way that they're playing baseball, I don't think that anybody can beat them. I
thought you were going to come up with some reason why the Padres could beat them because of something they're playing right now. And I was like, as great as the Padres, and you and I, and just so you know, Bjorn, the reason that Mr. Combs and I are going to toot our horns about San Diego is when we made our season predictions at the beginning of everything before a game was played. He and I thought the other one was going to laugh at us because we both predicted that the Padres would win the NL West. Now, we ended up being probably wrong. I mean, there's still a month. Who knows what happens? I thought that the Dodgers were going to have one of their common slow starts and the nervousness with Mookie Betts, but we still thought they were going to be there, and we're going to toot our horns on the Padres in that aspect.
Yeah. But look at the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers have been playing very well. Bellinger's only hitting .216.
Yep.
They've done it without David Price. Clayton Kershaw isn't Clayton Kershaw anymore. Like the fact that they are playing so well to me kind of boggles my mind because I don't know how they're doing with this with the guys that they're missing and the guys that aren't performing well. I'm just like I'm in awe of how they're doing it, but they're just playing great team ball. And look, nobody else in the league has 26 wins. Or nobody has more than 26 wins.
I was going to say the Padres have 26,
and the Dodgers have 30.
I'm confused with your statement of Kershaw because I said that was my big reason why the Dodgers wouldn't. Kershaw would get hurt. He'd have a slow season.
He was hurt at the beginning of the season.
He was hurt at the beginning of the season, but then he came out and still ended up pitching. It's not the normal Kershaw. I'm going to sit around for a while and try to push it. It doesn't work. He's got a 1.5 ERA right now. I don't know why you're thinking that he's not doing very well right now.
Kershaw's got a 1.5 ERA.
He's got a 1.5 ERA. He's pitching lights out. That's why that's a big part of why, because my prediction was they're going to come out to their normal start. Mookie would be sluggish to kind of start in the new surrounding, which for a whole 2 games he was. And Kershaw would just not be able to get through fully this season. And it's been the opposite. Mookie has just been lights out, and Kershaw is just pitching the lights off the ball. Yeah. So, but we'll see what we get what do we always get for Kershaw come the playoffs? I think that's another thing they're going to have to be worried about.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw today that I just started laughing about, and I laugh every time I see the stat, is I don't know how the Cardinals are going to sustain what they're about to go through. They have 29 games in the next 21 days. 29 games in 21 days. They have yesterday with Cardinals. So no, today is their only off day for the rest of the
and then it's just insanity.
29 games after that.
It's insanity.
That blows my mind. I don't know how they sustain. I don't know how they keep pace. I don't know how they keep playing the way they're playing good ball right now. Don't get me wrong. They just took 3 out of 5 from the Cubs this weekend. They're playing good ball, but 29.
Well, let's see.
I remember.
Let's see. Monday they've got a doubleheader against the Brewers.
Yep.
So there's one right there. Then they got Friday a doubleheader against the Pirates.
Yep.
That's not the end of the world right there. And then let's see. And then they don't have another doubleheader, so it's only 2 doubleheaders mixed in the stretch. But like you said, no days off. But at least on those 2 doubleheaders, statistically against the Brewers, who just shocked me, and Pirates.
That's just this week. I think they've got 6 doubleheaders planned in that stretch because that's the only way you get 29 and 21. You got to have a bunch of doubleheaders.
I'm going through September 27th. Those are the only 2 I'm showing.
There's something wrong there then because that 21 days you have to play to get 29 games.
Oh wait, there's another one. There's another doubleheader on the 16th. It was diagonal, but again against the Brewers. I mean, they're going to play the Brewers 5 times in 3 days, which is kind of funny to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even though you're not playing high quality teams like the Brewers and the Pirates, that's a lot of games, and they're rested and you're not. Like, you know what I mean? So I hope because I like to see the Cubs and Cardinals in the playoffs, and because I love watching the Cubs beat the Cardinals, but I also wouldn't mind watching the Cardinals just absolutely implode during this 29 game stretch. I would absolutely love it.
Man, we're you and I have brought it up, and we haven't had to see it too much yet, and it's coming because today here in Oklahoma, we went from highs of 100, and it's plummeted. It's cold outside. We've got rain. We're going to have rain the next 2 days. On the western side of the state, there's going to actually be snow. And 2 days ago, it was 93 out there. The weather's changing, and they're playing games against Pittsburgh, an outdoor ballpark in the Northeast, and Kansas City, which sits on the top. When that winter stuff comes off the Rocky Mountains, it dips down into Oklahoma, and it shoots right into Kansas City, and they get hit with it. Man, I don't think they're going to even be able to get all those games in. So we're going to have this situation.
Even here in Chicago, it was mid 80s to 90s last week, and then boom, today we're at 72. Tomorrow's a high of 66. Yep. Like it's look,
the weather's coming, man.
And I mean, look, out of all the teams that are in trouble when it comes to that, it's the St. Louis Cardinals. With all of the games that they have, they're actually probably praying for a couple of rainouts in that stretch. They gotta be. You know what I mean? Like but at the same time, what does baseball do? And we've asked this question a lot. What does baseball do when that happens? Because you have to you cannot let a team play less games than another team and let them get in the playoffs based off winning percentage. You just can't. That's not going to be acceptable. It's not going to be okay. And the players are going to lose their minds if that happens. And going into a year where it's the last year of your collective bargaining agreement, that's not a thing that you want.
Yep. Nope.
So they've got to figure something out. Baseball will have to figure something out if they do have rain delays. But if not, man, the Cardinals are in for it right now.
I've sat here and given credit to Manfred, who I still believe is still the worst commissioner in all the sports.
Yep.
He's done the opposite, where I thought he would have taken his chance, especially after the Miami debacle. He would have waited for one more team. And when the Cardinals got it, I thought he was going to be able to go, hey, guys, I did my best. I tried. And he's proven me the opposite. And yet there's still something in me that says he's sitting in his closet in his office, cross-fingered, being like, please no rain delay. Please no rain out. Like, just let us. Come on, we're so close. Because I don't know if he knows he's going to have a lose-lose situation when these games get to the point. Because if you start looking at the standings, before I was doing it off of a 7-team format, and it's not. It's an 8-team format with two each division and the 2 wild cards. And you look at that, I'm telling you, if they decide to do it by statistics, by percentage, there's going to be a couple teams that are raving pissed if the Cardinals get in and they didn't, because the Cardinals didn't have to play about 4 or 5 games, and we're going to have huge issues in baseball.
Yeah, they absolutely have to make up those games if they're in, and it happens every year. Every year, there's a team that only plays 160 or 161 because they have a rain out, but their game won't matter.
It won't matter. If
your game matters, you have to play it, and you have to make it up. And they do it every year. Yeah. I mean, and then what do you do if? So say you are going to go by winning percentage. Say no matter what, you just can't get those games played, and you make the decision to go by winning percentage. What if they're tied with the Milwaukee Brewers for winning percentage?
That's what I'm saying.
Do you make them play a 1-game play-in game? Or do you go by the number of wins and the number of losses? Like, what do you do?
Hold on. I got to this is a fake checkbook right here because I haven't written checks like 10. I'm going to write you a check from Manfred himself for actually coming up with a thought process there, and I'm going to sign it, Suit Boss. It's going to be for $5 million. That's you may have figured out what I don't think he could come up with a thought process of. I actually think that's a situation where if it's like they get rained out like crazy and there's 10 games they haven't played, you're still going to have an issue. But what if it's like 4 games and the percentage is the same, which means even if they go 2-2, the winning percentage is still going to be the same over those 4 games. But you look at the other team and go, hey, all you got to do is beat them once and then you get in. I think most Major League Baseball teams, they felt that they were better than the Cardinals or any of these other teams that may. And let's not forget, the Marlins are still 500. They also, though not as bad as the Cardinals, I think it's two games less of a stretch, still have to do the same thing. I think most teams, if you say, hey, we could wait for them to play out 4 games and they're going to be 500 and it's going to be the same place, or do you just want to play them 1 game right now? Let's make this a 1-game series. And if they do it, all of a sudden, you Mr. Combs, are a baseball genius, because you know who's going to tune in to see a 1-game series, to see who just gets in the playoffs? Me. Yeah. Half the people that aren't watching the baseball games this year, because things will start getting exciting then.
And that's the thing too. If they've got 4 games to make up, their only games left are against Detroit, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Milwaukee again. So those are the only teams they have left to play.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at all of their postponed games. They have a game against Detroit they're going to make up. They have already made up all their games against the Cubs. So, yeah, they've got a couple games against Detroit that they're going to make up here with the double headers. They got a double header the 10th against Detroit, and then let's
2
see
against
here.
the Brewers.
Yeah, they're playing. Oh, they're actually. Are they playing? So they're playing the Twins right now. So they don't have an off day today. They have an off day tomorrow. So they're going to make up those games against Detroit.
Beating the Twins right now, by the way. Jeez.
So if there's 4 games left and you're the Cardinals, or you're let's say the Brewers are tied with them, okay? And you get into a 4-game where there's 4 games left and they haven't made them up, and it's the last day of the season. If you're the Brewers, do you want them playing those 4 games against the Detroit Tigers? Or do you want to play a 1-game playoff against them?
I would rather play, if I'm the coach of the team of the Brewers, and I know that either it could be us sitting around for 4 days for them to go 500 and we have to play them anyways,
yep,
or sitting there waiting for them to play 4 games and they go 3-1 and then you're done and you had no control. Let me control it. Let me go out there. Like I said, if it's like 10 games, that's different. No, make them play. We'll figure something out, but we're not going to sit here and let them get off on 10 games. But if it's like 4 games, let us play them. Let us play them. Let us knock them out. I'm not going to sit here and if they go 3-1, sit here and go, well, dang, that sucked. We finished our season and statistically thought that we were tied with them to get into the playoffs, to at least do an elimination game. And instead, we had to watch them go 3-1, and we don't even get to play. You don't want to face that. Go out there and beat them, and then you can go. Not only did we get to the playoffs, we earned it by playing an extra game and beating the team that was statistically with us. I think that's what you do. That's just me, though. What would you do?
Look, if it's only 4 games, I don't want them playing Detroit in those 4. Now, different scenario. If they had those 4 games left against a team
Padres,
like the White Sox,
Dodgers,
White Sox, against a good team, I want them going to play them, because I'm like, look, they'll probably lose 3 out of 4.
Yeah, yep.
And then we can go, and then we can get into the playoffs anyway. But against like a team like the Detroit Tigers or the Cincinnati Reds, like I think I'd take my chances in a 1-game playoff and hope that my guys get hot during that game. Milwaukee hasn't played very well this year, so that's where it's a tough scenario.
I didn't put them in the playoffs. I remember I told you that, but I even said it wouldn't shock me though if they got in. But I think I'm more shocked just to how lackluster of a team they're putting out there. It's not good.
So that's why I was confused when I was looking at the score. They're actually playing a doubleheader today versus the Twins, and they lost game 1 7-3.
Yep, and they're up 7-4 now.
I'm looking for the scores now.
Oh no, they won 6-4. They won the second game 6-4. Twins won 7-3 in game 1, and the Cardinals just
won game 2.
Found that out game 2, 6-4. That last 2 innings went by pretty quick. I probably was just an inning and a half because they were the home team. Yep.
So they're 18-17 now, and the Brewers are 18-21. So, man, that's a tough one, man.
Hey, let's give it to them for doing this. We're sitting here having this like, what are you gonna do? And I love chaos.
And the Brewers are losing 6-0 right now in Detroit.
Oh yeah, I just hope for chaos. That's all I want. I want it to be where we have to almost, whether it's because of percentage or because the final score, we have to have like 3 play-in games, and these guys are out there because they only had to play 60 games. These guys normally play 162. Make them play an extra 3 or 4 games for a chance for the playoffs. Who cares? I would love it.
We talked about the AL Central there, and the AL Central, man, is just continuing.
It's so good.
In baseball.
Yep.
And down the stretch, man, this is going to be fun to watch. Yeah, I'm looking at the White Sox schedule right now, and the White Sox schedule, they've got, let's see here, where are we at?
I was telling you how they finished off against each other, the 3 teams.
Yeah, well, the Cubs play the White Sox to close out the season, but the White Sox get Pittsburgh, Detroit, then they get 4 against Minnesota, 3 against Cincinnati, and 4 against Cleveland, and then they finish up the season with 3 against the Cubs. So they've got a tough stretch. Then you go to Minnesota's schedule here. Let's see what Minnesota's got on the docket. So Minnesota's got 3 against Cleveland starting Friday.
Yep.
Why are they off until Friday?
I don't know. That's a good question. Well, today is what, Wednesday?
Tuesday.
No, it's Tuesday. Wow, they got 2 days off. Well, when you actually, when you don't go when you don't go play in COVID pool, you get to wait a couple days.
I guess, they get Wednesday and Thursday off after playing a doubleheader today.
That's good.
That's different. I've never seen a team with 2 days off in a row. But hey, so they get Cleveland and then 4 against the White Sox. Then they get 3 against the Cubs, and then they get Detroit and Cincinnati. So they've got a tough stretch too.
They got a really tough stretch now. But if they can hang in it there, and get that really good ending there,
these next 7 games are going to determine that division for them.
Oh, they are, yeah.
The 3 against Cleveland and the 4 against the Sox is really going to show them where they're at, in that division heading into the final, 8 games there. So, they've got, this is going to be a huge, so a 2 day off, 2 days off for them is huge.
They get to rest up, man.
They get to rest up for Cleveland. And then we look at Cleveland's schedule, and Cleveland's got, let's see here. Cleveland's got Wednesday and Thursday against Kansas City. They lost tonight against Kansas City, 8-6. Then they got Kansas City tomorrow and Thursday, and then they got Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Twins. Then they get off Monday, then 2 against the Cubs. Then they get Detroit for 4, then the White Sox for 4, and Pittsburgh for 4. So I think out of all of them, I think that
Pittsburgh for 3.
Yeah, or Pittsburgh for 3. I think that they may have the benefit of that schedule there, because even though they still have to play the Twins and the White Sox, in those 7 games, in between that, they get Detroit and Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I think, how crazy is it that you may get an aspect that if, let's say, the Cardinals can kind of stick around close enough to the Cubs, even with this stretch, let's just say they do that. And
Jared Barrett with the hot take.
They might not.
They're not going to the playoffs.
They may not. I wouldn't be shocked now if they don't. They can't play when their players are healthy. Do you think that Aaron Judge is going to just step in and all of a sudden make it? Well, yeah. It's what I say all the time. That stadium is the biggest piece of crap wiffle ball replica stadium. And the fact that Aaron Judge just stretches his arms out and the tip of the bat hits the left field wall, it's garbage. So they could if he comes back, but they're not playing
guys good. Like you listen to guys. I was listening today to the Mad Dog Mike Russo on MLB Network today, and he's a Yankee guy. He's from New York. He's always he says he's a Yankee guy, and he said something today to me that seemed kind of crazy to say, even for a Yankees fan right now at this point in time. He says the Yankees are going to the playoffs, and they don't even care if they have to go to Tampa Bay because they're not scared of Tampa Bay.
That's just
something like
pompous.
10-2
That's just
against-
pompous, blowing smoke out of their rear ends. Typical New York sports media bull crap. That's all that is.
Typically, he can give you an honest answer. And when he said something like that, I was like, what is this guy watching right now? Because they absolutely are afraid of Tampa. Tampa Bay owns them this season.
They own them. They literally own them.
Yeah.
And in fact, in the 2 games that New York has beat them, I don't think it was handily. I'd go through the records with it.
And not only that, but you just got off of a weekend series where you had won 19 straight against the Baltimore Orioles, and they just took 3 out of 4 from you. And you're going to make a statement like that?
Let's put it this way. I think that right now in a 4-game series against the crappy Boston Red Sox, Boston would probably give the Yankees a run for their money in 3 out of those 4 games. They may get swept, but the fact that you can't just go out there and dominate a crummy team like with the AA pitchers of the Red Sox, I think speaks volumes. It really does. It's crazy.
Look, and Jared chimes in and says the Sox are going to need Pittsburgh to win some games. Hey, look, Jared, you're not wrong, and you might get what you wish for. The Pirates have been playing some really good ball lately. In their last 10, they are only 4-6 in their last 10, but they were down for a while, and they picked it up. At one point, I believe they had won 7 of 10 before they just dropped the last couple.
Well, we're talking about Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. Pittsburgh is not the worst team in baseball. As much as they started this season out, they play a little bit with more chemistry. The god-awful team down the street from me. The Texas Rangers are god-awful. I've tried to watch 2 of their games, and it somehow made me watching the Red Sox game seem like there's more hope. I can watch the Red Sox game at least to say there's some hope.
I saw
in the
that thing
future.
on Sports Soup today where they're or no, I posted it on our page actually where they're 3-13 versus the
Tatis hit that grand slam.
3-0.
They're bad. They're so bad. So right now they're actually the worst team. They're tied. The Pirates have 13 wins and the Rangers have 13 wins. But here's the problem with that thing. I keep hearing that the Sox need these guys to do worse so they could get the first pick to go get that guy. The worst team this year is not going to get the first pick, Jared. It's not going to happen. They're going to take the collective last 2 years just due to some stipulations, and it's going to be that collective that gets the first pick. The worst team this year is not going to get it. It's not going to happen because of the amount of games that they're playing this season. So we can wish for it all we want, but because the Sox weren't hot, the worst hot garbage last year, and teams like Pittsburgh and like Texas are bad teams last year and this year, those are the teams that are going to be fighting for that first pick. It's not going to be Boston. There's
also all these teams that we're talking about. We're talking about how good the AL Central is. We're talking about how good the Dodgers are. We're talking about, what are the Cardinals going to do with this stretch. Everybody's forgetting about how good the Philadelphia Phillies are right now. Philadelphia Phillies are
I've got my World Series friggin' team sitting here watching them.
They went
fly.
Bryce Harper came out about 2 weeks ago and said we need to have a stretch where we go 9-1. It needs to happen right now. And then
that's what they did.
And in their last 10 now, they are 7-3. They're a game and a half behind the Atlanta Braves. They're going to finish second in that division, so they're going to go to the playoffs. Look, and I know we said that, if the Padres got to them, the Padres are going to beat the Phillies. They're a better team than the Phillies.
They still are.
The Phillies are playing ball the way that they're playing ball right now. They're not going to be an easy out.
No, absolutely not. But the difference is in the balance. If we're going to compare that aspect with the Padres have been consistent all season. The Philadelphia Phillies haven't. That's the difference in that aspect. But at the same time, heck, they maybe get second. There's a good chance. Remember, I didn't pick the Braves to win the division. Now, I said it was going to be the Nationals, which is a horrendous pick. Absolutely garbage. And I said it was going to be because I thought it was going to be, but I didn't have them going. I had them even losing in the first round, though. I just thought it was going to be, they had more time after the World Series. They weren't going to be tired. They had that chemistry. I know they lost Strasburg, blah, blah, blah. And it's just terrible. But the Phillies may win this division. The Braves 6-4 in their last 10, and they're only a game and a half up with them going 7-3. I mean, this could be just as good of a last, end of the season series showdown between these two when it comes to that. Now, the benefit for the Braves is their last games, they have 10 games. It's 3 against the Mets, 4 against the Marlins, and then 3 against the Boston Red Sox. So they just have far more better. But then you look at the Phillies, they've got their last. They play back-to-back series pretty much against. No, they don't. They've got 4 games against Toronto. Then they do have 4 against the Nationals, but then they have 3 against the Rays. And the Rays may be looking to ensure that they completely close out that AL East. And the Toronto Blue Jays are playing lights out, and their goal is to keep the Yankees down there. So, Philly's playing great now, but they've definitely got a harder back end of their schedule than the Braves do. That's for sure. So they're going to have to keep playing lights out in order to keep up with them, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the Phillies, man, they're an interesting team. They're just, you don't know how good they are until you play them or watch them play, and they kind of sneak up on you. Even with Bryce Harper, they're just like, man, I just don't. I wasn't a big believer in them before the season. I'm more of a believer now. They're playing really good ball. I don't know if they can sustain that all the way through for a playoff run. That's why I think that the Padres would handle them right now.
Well, they're recent. They've been hot after that stretch you brought up, but look at their recent. They beat the Mets by 2 back on Friday. Okay, you beat the Nationals by 1. Teams you should be throttling. Then they lost 5-1 to the Mets.
But should they be throttling them though?
They lost 14-1 to the Mets. They beat the Mets only by 1 run after that. They beat the Sox earlier today, only by 1 run, and they're down by 2. So it's not that they haven't been hot, and of course they've climbed back up. But this recent last stretch of 5-6 games, I feel like they're coming down to earth just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing though. I don't think there are teams that a team like the Philadelphia Phillies, should beat. They're not that team that is that good that they have any games that they should win. The Miami Marlins, I think, are just as good as the Philadelphia Phillies right now, the way that they're playing as well. So, it's going to be a tough road for them heading down the stretch. They've got to continue to play good ball. But, yeah, they're definitely a team that not a whole lot of people are talking about right now.
Unfortunately, I follow too many Philly sports pages. I don't know how it happened, some weird algorithm, and I've got like a couple Philly sports pages, which is fun when they rag on themselves because then I share it on Sports Soup. It's funny.
My son says, "Hi, Dad. What's going on, buddy? Love
what's
you,
up, Junior.
Hope you're enjoying us yell at each other.
Hope you're getting ready to watch Cam Newton beat up on Fitzpatrick for that for that ridiculous prediction of Pats over Miami. There, he's getting ready. I love that your boy's a Pats fan. Makes me happier.
He is you know what's funny too is, so when it comes to baseball, he's a Cubs fan. So he took after me with that. And but when it comes to hockey and football, man, I can't switch him. I can't get him to be a Bears fan. I can't get him to be a Blackhawks fan. He's Bruins and Patriots all the way. So don't
try it. Let him be what they want. As long as it's not the rival. As long as he's not a Cardinals fan. Like for me, I told all my kids, I do not care who you root for. Root for whoever you want. Find yourself. Throw a dart at a map. But the thing is I'm going to put like a metal bar over the circle of New York because you will never root for a New York team ever. And one of my sons, my smallest son, one day came up to me. He's like, I think I like the Jets. And I was like, you could wash your mouth out with soap right now. And he was playing a joke on me. But as long as it's not New York, I don't care. My boy Noah, my oldest that's on the show sometimes here, huge Toronto fan. And the Miami Dolphins. That's what he loves.
And said, Dad, I think I like the Cardinals, or Dad, I think I like the Packers, I pretty sure that I would call Adrian Peterson and see if he wanted to adopt him.
Oh, geez.
I would send him there and let sense into him. Because, yeah, I mean, that's what you deserve if you're a Packers fan or a Cardinals fan.
Did you just condone child abuse to your own child on our show?
Look, if you're going to be a Packers fan or
the last potential sponsor just left.
If you're a Packers fan or a Cardinals fan, you deserve to be beat. That's just how I don't know. That's how I feel. If Manfred had any sack left, he would make the draft order as standings finish, but we all know he sucks. But
no. Here's I mean, I've got to come up with the actual details because this isn't just me talking out of my rear end. There's an actual aspect within the rules pertaining to games played in a season. This is actually a stipulation that has nothing to do with Manfred. In fact, if he changed it to be what the standings are this year, he would be breaking the rules. And I'll have to find it and come on the next show. Or if we have time, we've only got 20 minutes, so I won't go looking for it. But there's an actual rule in their agreements that make it where because of the games played this year, they cannot take this year's final standings to be the draft. It's actually, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm defending Manfred. It drives me insane. It's actually not him.
You made him defend Rob Manfred.
The worst commissioner in sports.
Junior chimes in, says Vegas Knights are in the league in the second. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
That series is going to go. That series is going to go. I still have the Knights winning it, but I have the Knights winning it in 7 games because it's going to be that way. That's the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars this postseason, outside the round robin has been, we're going to beat you 5-0, and then we're going to get our asses handed to us 5-0, and they've been able to get through on the final game, the deciding game. I just think that the talent of the Golden Knights, they are far too more of a united team where they're going to have something that happen. But when it comes to a game 7, they're just not going to let it happen, in my opinion. But it's hockey. I've been only flip a freaking coin in everything I've said.
Junior says you're a Red Sox fan. Everything you say comes out of your rear end. He's like, just kidding, or am I?
No. Man, here I am sitting here giving you praise for you being a Pats fan. And now I just wish I'd just boot your ass back to your father. You can go hang out with the Bears with him. And go be lonely.
Just for that, I will not send you to Adrian Peterson's house.
I know. No kidding. You're giving me crap, Junior, and your dad threatens child abuse on you. Really? Really? Now I know how that home was growing up. Dad, can I have a hug? No. You can get a slap in the hand and know that that's love. Yes, Dad. I see how the Combs household went growing up.
Hey, look, you got to teach them, right? You got to teach them. All right, so we are
Pearson School of Logic right there. Teach them what?
We are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to get to Shop Talk, guys. So Jared, Junior, all you guys that are out there watching us, make sure you leave us some comments. Let us know what you want to talk about. We will talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about. So we'll be back here and give us 30 seconds. What's going on, Triple Shot Sports family? This is Brandon Combs, host of the best podcast on the planet. That's the Triple Shot Sports Podcast. Be sure to join myself and Soup Boss Chad Lounder live for 2 hours. Yes, I said 2 hours every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Central on the RTF Sports Network Facebook page and YouTube. And if you miss any part of the show, you can hear us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the drive home at 5 p.m. Eastern on rtfsportsnetwork.com. All right, we are back.
Real quick, 3 things, super fast. Brian Cashman addressed its struggling Yankees, saying the fans deserve better baseball. No crap, Cashman. The Miami Heat just took out the Bucks. They are moving on, and Von Miller is out for the season for the Broncos. And Donovan's not coming back to the Thunder, so that's actually 4. My bad.
Oh wow!
All of that stuff just happened, like it just all hit my phone. Everything. The Von Miller thing I broke as I was running to get us to record it here, but it's official right now that he will not be playing this season. So,
real quick, Soup, why don't you tell these guys where they can find us?
Yeah, guys, so you can find us a couple different places. Of course, here on Facebook, on the RTF Sports Network page, and on Triple Shot Sports Podcast. But also find us also on Instagram and on Twitter at 3 Shot Sports. And talking about Twitter, by the way, we had a poll pertaining to you and your prediction of the Cubs. And I said, was that an insane pick or not? And then I put a third one, which was, is this even a real poll? That was 100% the answer on our Twitter poll, by the way, Mr. Combs. Is this even? People couldn't believe that you picked that. But at 3 Shot Sports on both Twitter and Instagram. And most importantly, It is Tuesday. So we have, if my math is correct, 5 days until Sunday. At this time, if we are not at 100 subscribers on our YouTube page, which is Triple Shot Sports Podcast, all you got to do is type those words in, hit subscribe. You are entered in to win memorabilia that's signed that's worth hundreds of dollars. But
and
if
we've
we get
only
to
got
Sunday
9
night,
left.
and there's 9 left, but if you wait until Sunday night, you just heard how he disciplines his kids. He's going to reach into that hat and pull out another one and backhand it and throw it away, and you're going to lose another one. Please, we're at about 50 more. Subscribe, share, get on YouTube, and give us some love.
All right, so now it is time to get to Shop Talk. Shop Talk, as always, is brought to you by BigDogSports.net. Use agent code GoCubsGo when signing up and depositing your first $50. Use agent code GoCubsGo. All right, so let's get to some Shop Talk. We got some things that are rolling in here, and first things first. And I wanted to get to this during the show, and Jared starts it off with.
Hey, Mike Paris just subscribed to us. Someone listen to us.
Boy,
live.
Michael.
That's boy. Yeah, my Aunt Tubby was doing a good job watching you.
All right, so Jared says, speaking of the Bears, how do you feel about Footlong not being the starter? So, look, I've been getting this a lot. And Soup, you posted once they announced it and all that. And, look, it doesn't surprise me.
It wasn't me ragging you for once.
Somebody posted it and said, haha, Combs. Or sucks
me.
to be you, Combs.
Probably Wayne.
Might have been CV. I don't know.
Might have been CV. Might have been Wayne. Anyways.
But anyway, so there was no doubt in my mind that Mitch Trubisky was going to start this season. And here's why. Ryan Pace said, we're not picking up your 5th-year option. Ryan Pace went out and signed Nick Foles. He didn't go out and get Teddy Bridgewater. He didn't go out and get Cam Newton. He didn't make a bid for Tom Brady. He didn't go out and try to get Phillip Rivers. He went out and signed Nick Foles. So what he did there was said, look, we're not giving you your 5th-year option, and we're signing Nick Foles to be your backup. So this is going to go one of two ways. You're either going to start the season and do great and light the world on fire, and we're going to be back to that 12-4 team heading into the playoffs again that you were 2 years ago, or you're going to be the Mitch Trubisky that you were last year, and Nick Foles will be the starter by week 3. And so they're going to give him every opportunity to fail before they take the reins away from him. They're just because Ryan Pace he outsmarted himself with the draft of Mitchell Trubisky.
He's got to try to save face.
Nobody in the world saw him trading up to get Mitchell Trubisky as opposed to trading up to get Deshaun Watson.
He didn't have to trade up to get Deshaun Watson. That's what's even crarazier about it. He traded up from pick 3 to pick 2 when he could have had Deshaun Watson at 3. He could have had he could have had Mitch Trubisky at 3. He didn't have to trade up. He could have had Patrick Mahomes.
The Niners fleeced him and said that they were thinking about going with the quarterback, and everybody in the world, other than Ryan Pace, apparently, knew that the Niners were not picking up a quarterback.
No one. So, I remember seeing that, and I was like, that's dumb.
I had Wayne G, so I get a lot of my jerseys from Wayne G, and I had him on the phone. I said, look, after they make the pick, I want you to order my Deshaun Watson jersey. And they made the pick, and I'm standing up, and then they announce Mitch Trubisky. I turned off the TV, and I walked straight to bed. I didn't say a word. I was done. Like, I was just dumbfounded. I was like, there was no way they could screw this up. We're getting Deshaun Watson. We're getting a franchise quarterback finally in the franchise that were never. And Mitch Trubisky came out of there.
How much do you believe that San Francisco, they were like, hey, we're gonna go down one and we're gonna get something we want because it's not gonna be a quarterback. But let's get Chicago to do it so they have to give us something to get Deshaun Watson, who we weren't going to pick at number 2 anyways. And how much do you think that as they were loading in their money, a la Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob, and they heard Mitch Trubisky, they just look up and like, you fools. Like, we didn't even have to do that. That's insane.
Yeah. So he didn't sign Foles. He traded picks for him. Well, he signed him. They signed him for a
They extended him, didn't they?
Well, they extended him, but that was part of the trade. Like it was
it was all aspect. I could be wrong, No, wait a minute. Didn't Jacksonville sign him?
No, the Bears extended him to get. They restructured the deal. Something where it's like I believe I want to say
4 years, $88 million right now.
Yeah, I want to say it was 21 million or something like that. It was something stupid.
It got restructured. So according to this, I'm reading on NBC Sports.com. They restructured it. So there was some aspect of it restructured. You still get paid a ton of money.
Look, you could have got Cam Newton cheaper. There's
could have gotten Teddy Bridgewater cheaper. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't surprise me that Mitch Trubisky is the starter, because you didn't go out and get those caliber of guys. You didn't bring Nick Foles in here to start 16 games, which is something he's never done in his entire career. So it was no surprise to me that they named Mitch Trubisky. If you had brought in Teddy Bridgewater or Cam Newton, and I'm not saying this where I think that Nick Foles isn't a good I still think he's a good quarterback. I watched him play amazing against my Patriots in a well-deserved Super Bowl win for that team. But with that, and he's shown great flashes, but he's also had some hard issues. But the difference between Nick Foles and guys like Cam Newton and Teddy Bridgewater, you bring either one of those two in, you are getting dragged out of Soldier Field and hung for insanity if you would dare name Mitch Trubisky the week one starter at this point over Cam or Teddy Bridgewater. Whereas with Nick Foles, there's some people that go, well, yeah, I mean, look what happened in Jacksonville. You know, the great Gardner Minshew got the job back over him. Like, it gives them that little leeway in that aspect. But with that said, I'm right with you. My prediction actually is that he's going to win. The Bears are going to win. That defense is going to win 4 very, very close games. And then we're going to see the true Mitch Trubisky come out in week 5 and week 6. And he is just going to get demolished and destroyed. And that's everything that they're going to need to put Nick Foles in at 4-2 to be able to try to save it and to get to the playoffs.
See, I got it happen a little bit sooner. I got them going out and laying eggs against Detroit and laying an egg against the Giants. And that's when Nick Foles comes in and takes over. And then I have them finishing 11-5. So I just different methods, but same ultimate result.
I think we both had them at 11-5.
This defense got so much better, and they were already so good. They got so much better over the winter, or over the summer, I should say. And they just look. This defense is going to keep them really, really close, and that is all a guy like a Nick Foles needs. But that's the thing. You playing a close game against Mitch Trubisky, he's going to turn the ball over. I've got no faith in this kid whatsoever. None at all.
Week 5 Buccaneers, week 6 Carolina Panthers, and he's going to get absolutely embarrassed. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if my prediction is coming true, where where the defense pulls off close ones. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets demoralized by the Buccaneers, and then the Panthers game, he starts getting destroyed, and they pull him in the third quarter, and it's over.
So switching gears here, Michael Paris says, do you think Rask has played his last game with the Bees? I say yes. I think they got Tim Thomas all over again. I feel like that it's the same exact thing that happened to them with Tim Thomas. Like I think he's done with the Bruins. I just do.
It's Tuukka Rask is known. A lot of reporters and Boston media have said it, and what you just said, it mirrors Tim Thomas. He beats to the rhythm of his own drum. Like, he is his own beast. He's his own animal. That's why when what happened here in the bubble, if he had come out and said something like, hey, I have a family emergency, and it may only take a day or something, so you may see me on the golf course, but trust me, this is an emergency. I have to leave for my family. People probably would have been like, hey, you got to do what you got to do for family. But instead, he's just like, I'm not going to be here anymore. But that's the way he is. That's the way he handles it. It's the way Tim Thomas handled those type of things. The thing is, Tuke's got 1 more year in his contract. I could see that if they try to do let's go get one player in a trade and really give this one last hurrah. Because remember, before COVID, they were just unbeatable. Yeah. And I just really think if they go, hey, last year your contract, give it everything you got. Even if you want to retire, you're good. We're going to let Chara, we're going to bring him back 1 year, let him give everything he's got. Let's give it one last hurrah. So I actually predict that they're going to come to some type of agreement. But with that said, I think that Tuke and Chara both come back, but I fully believe that they're going to go find and make a trade, not only for a stellar defenseman, but they are going to be hunting for a goalie. And that's why I think that Montreal went and got Allen from St. Louis. I think they knew that that's what Boston's going to do. They're going to go find Tuuk's replacement, but I think Tuuk will at the very least start this season as a member of the Boston Bruins, but it will be for the final time.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Jonathan Briggs, who do you think will be the Patriots kicker this year?
You ready? Who do you think before I give my prediction?
I liked your prediction from last week, but I'll let you go with it.
Adam Vinatieri coming out of the tunnel, baby. Decides to play one more season and comes back.
And doesn't even announce the signing until he needs to kick a field goal. And then just runs out of the tunnel. WWE style.
You say WWE side, but I'm telling you, I wouldn't actually be shocked if the day of the game they were to announce something like that. Like Bale's just like, screw it. Calls up Adam the Saturday before. I ain't got. Hey, Adam, I don't have any more real options here. You want to come do one more year? You're gonna do that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to stop kicking. Well, you come out here, you can kick, and we play 1 year with a Cam and me. Cool. Sounds great. Make a nice little recycle sign out of his career, going Pats, Colts, Pats.
Jared Paris says Tuukka is the first pick to the Kraken. That wouldn't surprise me.
No, because it has to be. Because it's why the Golden Knights did so well, but there's an aspect pertaining to where they are, not just depth chart. I wish I could look this up for our next show, but I actually remember reading something where the Kraken can't pick Tuukka Rask. There's something about where they couldn't pick him.
Huh. Okay. Shop Talk hot take. Josh Allen wins MVP. I don't know about that, Jared. Look, I think the Bills are going to have a really good year.
Yep.
But I mean, I have Tom Brady as my MVP. I think he's going to go and light the world on fire in Tampa Bay, and maybe even fuck around and get them a Super Bowl. Which is my
screw around with that of it. Hey, listen, Josh Allen. I've been on the Josh Allen train for 2 years. It's going to be amazing. They're going to keep going. Attaboy, Allen. Go, Kyle. Let's go, Allen. Let's go. We're going to witness history here, baby. We're going to watch them cram a bunch of games, and now they're going to overtake this division. Allen, my boy, let's go.
Hello, Adrian. hey, I got a kid to send your way. I need him taken care of, please.
You might as well go send him to the Detroit Lions, who are going to have such – we should have ragged on Sully about that, by the way, their prediction about how the Lions were going to do so much better.
I still don't.
No, Allen is going to be one hell. He's part of the future of this NFL, 100%, without a shadow of doubt. And he's going to have a monster. Even though I think last year was his breakout year, I think he's going to have a monster year. But I would still give Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and my pick, Russell Wilson, MVP nods over him. But if you're going to say, give me a team like I predicted with the Heat, a person no one's thinking of, I think that's not a bad hot take for a person no one's thinking of to be the MVP.
Yeah. Jared says 2-for-1 special. My kid won't go to sleep. That's awesome.
If Mr. Combs can stuff them both in a box with his friggin' child abuse tonight.
Junior wants to know, do you guys think Cam on the Pats is bad for – Oh, no. Look, going to the Patriots –
and I've been flipped on this, by the way.
Yeah. As much as I hate saying it, anytime you go to the Patriots and anytime you get to play under Bill Belichick, it's never bad for your career. It can only be good.
Well, it's good if you follow the Patriot way. Everyone talks about it, and it's a true thing. If you follow the Patriot way, there's a story about Rodney Harrison when he showed up and he walked to a meeting 2 minutes late, and Teddy Bruschi and about 3 other members of the defense were there, and it wasn't 2 minutes late. He was on time. And he said, well, what's the matter? And they're like, you're late. And he goes, I'm right on time. They're like, no, 5 minutes ago was on time. You're late. There's a way to that. And my worry with Cam Newton, and we've seen it with him dancing in practice and stuff, was he's too loose. He's too free. He's too all these aspects that doesn't fit that military-esque style that Bill has. And I wonder if part of this is just like he's almost trying to get under Tom's skin. But the fact that he's like got on last week and said no one practices harder than Cam Newton, he's doing something right. So not only has he learned to make sure that he's fitting the mold, but if you're doing that, like you said, you're only going to get better. Look at I mean, Deion Branch is a Super Bowl MVP. Deion Branch was not a first receiver on any other team, but because he followed the Patriot way, he's a Super Bowl MVP. That's what the type of stuff you can get. So Cam Newton on the Pats flipped my mind. I didn't think it would work. I'm excited about it. I think they're going to go 9-7. So
Jared says, listening to Cam and WEI for 20 minutes yesterday, and I'm all in. And I'm a Vikings fan, but Cam and Bill are going to click. Look, I don't hate it. I don't think that
the defense though,
is as good
the defense
as
scares
they were.
me.
With all of the guys who have opted out on that defense is where they're going to find their troubles. We could be wrong. I mean, if Bill Belichick goes out and wins this division this year, he absolutely, for me, goes down as the greatest coach of all time.
You rename Lombardi if he wins this division, because I don't see it happening.
He doesn't even have to win a Super Bowl, but win this division, and he's
I've got the Patriots in the playoffs at least 9-7.
Oh.
I'll take it.
All right, guys, that's all the time that we have for now. Make sure that you go over to YouTube, click the subscribe button. Let's get us to 100 so that this Sunday I don't have to pull off another, jersey.
Don't make him backhand, you kids.
Saquon is already gone. Saquon Barkley is off the table. The Fernando Tatis is still in there, man. If that one comes off the table, and a lot of people like this Calvin Ridley behind me.
A lot of people like it.
I've gotten a lot of questions about it. People trying to get me to do, like different sales and all sorts of stuff. So, look, I think that all we have to do is go out there and share, just share, and let people know about the show, and it'll go, because we all have friends. We all have 300, whatever, however many people you have on your Facebook. You share it. If one other person sees it and shares it, then they have 300 friends, and one of theirs shares it. And so
just
on and
tell
so
your
forth.
friends about the giveaway. Everyone that's on this show would love a piece of that memorabilia.
Yep.
You have friends that would love it. Just
absolutely,
and don't look at it as, well, if they're in, it's less chance for me. If we go through another 9 weeks without us hitting 100, none of y'all get anything. None of y'all.
And Michelle says, please get rid of the Vic jersey. Hey, look, it might end up staying. If these guys don't get us to 100 by Sunday and I pull the Vic out of the hat, the Vic is staying. So, Michelle, share. Babe, I'm telling you, just share it. Tell all your friends to share. Hey, look, you have a way about you of making people do things. When you're mad, get mad. Tell them they need to share and subscribe. So, all right, guys. All right, guys. As a top fan, I'll need the Ridley jersey.
It's so weird.
It is. Look, Jared, you are a top fan for sure. You are always with us week in and week out.
Get 56 more people. Get 56 more people to subscribe, Jared, so you have a chance.
Look, I know you talk to people. I know you watch sports with friends. While you're watching football this Sunday or even Thursday night for the opener, say, hey, guys, check out this show. I don't understand. Look, see, she's already there. Everyone subscribe and share. Michelle's already on it. Michael says, later, guys. Great show. All right, guys. That's all the time we have for now. We've gone a little bit over our time. So that's all the time we have for now. Definitely join us. We will be back Thursday. It is opening night of the NFL, and we will be on during the game. So we will actually be kind of bringing the game into it. I've got a plan for that. I will fill Supos in on that here in just a little bit. But you guys are going to want to tune into us while you're watching the game. So we'll see you guys Thursday. Have a good night, everybody.
Welcome horns.
Fuck the Cardinals.